Let's call to order our December 9th Sherburne County Board of Commissioners meeting. Please rise for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, then, I would be looking for an approval of our regular meeting proposed agenda if there are no deletions or additions. Yes. Mr. Metzelet.
Just a note, not a change, but I just want the board to be aware on regular agenda item 7.3, which is consider approval of the University of Minnesota Extension 3-year staffing agreement. We did hand out a modified agreement, and so when we get to that item, I'll cover both agreements for you and then have you make your decision.
All right, with that piece of information then, I have a motion by Commissioner Smeezing and a second by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. All right, moving on to items on our consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Colby.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. All right, at this time, we will have our open forum. Anybody wishing to speak to the board at open forum, please sign up at the table in the back of the room. The purpose of our open forum section of the county board meeting is to allow public input and/or information to be presented to the board that does not require action by the board. The time limit will be 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 5 speakers per open forum. Is there anybody signed up for open forum, Keisha?
Yes, Madam Chair. We have Brett Collier speaking on the budget and North Star.
All right, Brett? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Brett Collier, 22549 172nd Street, Big Lake. During last week's Truth and Taxation meeting, you asked for input on budget items. And I went to your Open GOP site and have a couple suggestions for you. Currently, the budget has $1,073,000 for North Star, $24,000 for Link Bus. I suggest that those lines be stricken, saving the county more than $1.1 million. The North Star has been operating at only 5 to 10% of its ridership over the past 20 months. We have been subsidizing the North Star operation at one point over $794 per rider. The Met Council has been blind to this colossal misappropriation of funds, both direct taxpayer funds and indirect taxpayer funds in the form of COVID relief funds. Just last Sunday, in an interview with Tom Hauser on his At Issue show, Met Council Chairman Charlie Zell, asked about shutting down the North Star, stated that they need to study it more. Let's help him study by removing our portion of funding, just as Anoka County did. Anoka County has been withholding payment to the North Star for more than a year, only to recently allow for 24% of the requested payment to be made. I suggest that with ridership down between 90 and 95%, that a maximum of only 8% of the requested $1.1 million be paid. This will reduce our property taxes, show solidarity not only with our neighbor county and citizens, but show that Sherburne County is more financially responsible than the Liberal Met Council. If you had contracted me to plant 100 trees for $200,000 in 2021, and I only planted 10 trees, would you still pay me $200,000? I hope not. And if I had had the same contract with you in 2020 and you actually paid me the full amount for only paying 10 trees, you should demand that I send you your money back. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. for your comments. Anybody else to speak at open forum, Keisha?
Not that I have signed up, Madam Chair.
All right. All right, at this time then, we will close the open forum, and we will go to announcements. Mr. Meslick.
Just a couple of quick announcements for the board. First of all, the state did come out with its state budget forecast, and I handed out today, and Commissioner Phobie emailed out a very good summary from Micah on the state budget forecast and what it means for us as we prepare for 2022. And then second, in the audience today is Gina Hugo, and I just wanted to shout out and share with you the great news that we received. Top recommendation from the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission for funding of $1.25 million for park land acquisition. So we look forward to working this into the state legislative agenda and hopefully securing that with legislative approval by basically May or June of next year. So a great letter, kind of fun to read those types of positive news.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll move into our regular agenda. First item up is our Eagle Scout project proposal for the Great Northern Trail. And Gina, you are going to introduce our Eagle Scout.
Yes, thank you, Chair Danielowski. Good morning, Commissioners. It's my pleasure this morning to have with us a young student scout who is pursuing his Eagle Scout badge, and the more I get to know him, the more motivated I find out he is. He speaks French, he's a swimmer, I don't know what else he does, but apparently he does put together outstanding proposals for projects. He is proposing a project that would benefit the county's newest section of the Great Northern Trail, and we're asking the board today to approve his proposal and authorize staff to work with Ben on planning and installing the project. So with that, I'm going to invite Ben Stout up, and he can share with you the highlights.
Welcome,
Excellent.
Ben.
Hello, everybody. It's my first time, so.
You're doing fine.
My name is Benjamin Stout. I'm with Troop 90, based out of here in Elk River. It is my 6th year in the troop this year. I've done many things in scouting, including being the senior patrol leader, which is the head honcho of the Boy Scouts in the last year, and that was a great experience. I've done many different things with outings and the Order of the Arrow, which as some describe it is the National Honor Society of Scouting, and getting to go on those high adventures and meeting all those wonderful people motivated me to put together a project that I'm really passionate about, and I think I have found it. My project is to include new mile markers for the woodland trails, markers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Basically, the plan is to make the markers over the winter and then install them once the ground thaws. Why would I choose something like this? It's because this trail is frequently used by community members. Some of you may have even recently traveled on it. And it continues and supports another Eagle Scouts project who made markers 0 through 4. And it's a wonderful opportunity, and I have a great beneficiary, great sponsors, and a lot of people willing to help me out with this, and I couldn't be more grateful. So I'm really motivated about it, and I hope that you all are as well.
Well, thank you, Ben. This looks like an amazing project, and in 6 years in scouting, which is kind of a short period of time, you have accomplished a lot. So that is pretty cool. Are there any questions for Ben? Okay, if not, then I would be looking for a motion to approve the project proposal as presented.
Go ahead.
Chair, I'll move this project.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Phobie and a seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Phobie.
I utilize the trail quite a bit, so I really appreciate, and many people do, so appreciate you choosing this project for your scout, your Eagle Scout.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, and we're definitely all looking forward to seeing it and walking that trail. At least we'll know how to get from 1 to 9.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ben. All right, if there is no further discussion, Commissioner Brandt.
I just wanted to mention too, that I really appreciate your willingness to do this. I've lived in Elk River for a long time, and I've watched this trail develop over the years, and we've used it many times earlier. I haven't so much just lately, but I really look forward to having an opportunity to see all of your things that you're adding to it in the spring.
Yes, And I do have to say one thing that I'm extremely proud of, and I had talked to Ben about this, that in Sherburne County, the amount of young people that go for their Eagle projects and scouting is amazingly high compared to other areas of the state. So as a resident of Sherburne County, I am so proud that we have young people that will dedicate themselves to achieving that, that honor and ranking in scouting. It says a lot about our young people, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there are no further comments at this time then, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda is to consider the issuance of an interim use permit for home business and accessory structure for dog training business by Julie Weitz. Lynn,
Good morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
And this is in Haven Township on 14 acres in the Agricultural District. This was heard before the Planning Commission in November. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 12 conditions and the findings of fact.
All right. Then at this time, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the
Madam
interim use
Chair, I'll move
permit.
approval as conditioned.
Motion made by Commissioner Smeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Moving on to the next item is to consider the approval of the preliminary and final simple plat of the shores of Canton Lake, Lakeside Investments, Minnesota LLC.
And this is in Baldwin Township on 31 acres in the General Rural District and within the Natural Environmental Shoreline Overlay District of Canton Lake. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the 7 conditions in your packet.
All right, with that said, I would be looking for a motion to approve the issuance of the interim use permit.
I will move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Phobie.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to comment, there were many comments and citizens did come out to speak about this, and I appreciate those citizens and their attention to wanting to preserve and make sure that this lake is, you know, it's a beautiful lake, and we, in this area of the state, many of our lakes are impaired, and this is a different lake. It's spring-fed, it's pristine. So I appreciate the neighbors speaking up and wanting to make sure that this is done right and that the lake is protected. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yes. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none then, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Moving on to the next item would be to consider and approve an interim use permit for home business and accessory structure for marine repair by Nicholas Greenlee.
And this is in Orac Township on 10 acres in the General Rural District. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of the IUP with the 15 conditions listed and the findings of fact.
All right, with that being said, I would look for a motion to approve the interim use permit.
I'll move approval with the 15 conditions.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
Findings.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. All right, moving on to consider an amendment to an existing conditional use permit for 40 horses on property to allow people to leave the property on horses and for manure management to be a dumpster or compost by Andy and Jolene Thielen.
And this is in Big Lake Township on 34 acres in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval of the CUP amendment with the 19 conditions and the findings of fact.
All right, any questions? I would be looking for a motion to approve that amendment to the existing conditional use permit with the 15? findings?
19.
19 findings of fact. Thank you, Lynn.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second, Madam Chair.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing.
As it's conditioned, Commissioner.
Thank you for that clarification and your,
I agree.
yep, okay. Any discussion? I did have a couple of questions. Are we clear in these conditions? Because in reading through the comments that were done, that there was some question as to whether we had the ability to allow riding through the county ditch. Is there something that clarifies that we're not giving that authority because we don't have it to give?
Well, we're not giving that authority on this. That was
Okay.
their original request.
Yes.
I believe under condition, 19, we addressed the fact that they have to get approval from the township to go on township roads. In our staff comments, we did talk about, and David Rodell was there from Public Works, discussing that we don't own, we only own, the property owner owns to the center line of the road. We have an easement across there. We can't give people permission to go into the ditches. So I don't believe that we have anything in here that says that you can do that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was clear,
Yeah.
because I also read that they don't have any access to a township road from
Correct.
there. So how can, so that's gonna be basically a moot point, I'm assuming.
And Becker Township had commented they had concerns about riders going through development across the street that's actually in Becker Township directly across from this. So they had made that comment, and we included that as well.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're clear
Yep.
on this, that nobody is going to get a misunderstanding through this process, that we're saying it's okay to do this. So, okay, if we feel that we have enough in there of language that will clarify that, then. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank
All
you.
right. Moving on then to review and approve the issuance of a request for proposal for Sherburne County Comprehensive Land Use Plan rewrite. Mark, you're gonna do this.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. I'm seeking a motion to approve the issuance of a request for proposal for a rewrite of the Sherburne County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And I'm asking also for the county board's review and feedback on this proposed RFP. And doing this process, in my memo that I directed to you, I had mentioned that I was very excited about this project. It doesn't take a lot to make a planner excited about a long-range planning project. But I think we are really at a good place. We've gone through several of these. Last update was in 2011. Our own Kathy Heaney helped with numerous of those updates to our county comprehensive plan. The county has a really good team in place to tackle this project. And what we're looking at doing is completely rewriting the comprehensive land use plan, using what we have, from the history, but taking a deep evaluation of where the county is today and where it's going in the future. The goal is to make sure that this comprehensive plan meets the expectations of our residents and the businesses, and still ensures in protection of the environment and the resources that we have in Sherburne County. So this has been kind of a long time coming. Following this comprehensive land use plan, we're going to tackle an update to the zoning code, the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance. But we do feel that we're kind of at a crossroad in Sherburne County. There's a lot of development occurring. There's a lot of opportunities that we want to make sure we're taking advantage of. We want to make sure that we're working with our neighboring communities, that we have a close connection with them. And over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, since Chairman Danielowski asked for me to be a liaison for the Central Mississippi River Regional Planning Partnership, we've been doing a long-range land use and economic study, including 9 communities right in Sherburne County. I served as a key point for that project, and during that time, it gave me a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about working with communities, working with our stakeholders, making sure that we're hearing their feedback, and that we can share that feedback with the elected officials and the residents of the county. So I am looking forward to this. I am excited about this county comprehensive plan. So I'm looking to see if you have any feedback for me on the RFP that we've prepared. It has been reviewed by the county attorney office. Tim Simon's been kind in that review. So I'm looking to see if you have any feedback, and eventually looking for a motion to seek this consultant to help us move Sherburne County's comprehensive land use plan forward.
All right, any comments or discussion for Mark? Yes, Commissioner
Well,
Schmitz.
Madam Chair, this will, whoever is selected out of this RFP, they'll be the ones that'll help that can conduct the public meetings and do those portions of this. There'll be community members asked to be involved and included in this. Is just kind of the roadmap that we'll follow. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner Schmitz. What we're looking for is a consultant that will, first and foremost, make sure that we identify and get the contributions and engagement of our stakeholders. So it's a two-way street. They give us information, we have to give it back to them. So that's one of the things that a consultant firm is really built to do. You know, they're the ones that help generate the online surveys. During COVID, we launched, CMRP, I should say, launched Framework 2030 right as we entered this pandemic. And we had a model that we thought we were going to use for public engagement, which involved, you know, open houses and public forums and things like that. Well, COVID turned that on its head, and we had to turn internally and do a lot of online surveying, a lot of digital stuff. Fortunately, we have a lot of formats that help support that, and I'm assuming, you know, the selected consulting firm will be very good at that. That's going to be a clear focus of mine. The other thing that I want the consulting firm to do is to be able to have a deep knowledge of the technical analysis, to identify the trends and events that are occurring in our region that we may not see that might be coming that will help shape or, you know, shape development into the future.
No, I think it's something that the county needs to do. The last time we did an update was in 2011. Obviously, things have changed since 2011, so we definitely need to update and change with that. I was just a little curious, having been in comp plan revisions before and involved in them, you note that you're looking for like 10 participants in this process. That seems a little light compared
So-
to what I've been involved with in the past in different communities. Because my concern is we are so different in areas, and I want to make sure that everybody's voice is at the table. And when you limit to like a township representative from the west and a township representative from the east, I think that's going to be challenging, because I think every township will want to have some input, but that's just my thought when I see this.
Yep. So what Commissioner Danielowski is referring to in the planning memo, I call out, you know, process and timing of the project. And one of the things I identify in there is a planning team. And part of the reason I kept it to a select number of 10, sometimes these task forces can get kind of large and a little difficult to make sure that we're getting active feedback from everyone. So I did want to kind of keep it small for that purpose, that I could really test things with this group. But I do understand the commissioner's point about making sure that it's encompassing, that it's bringing all the true stakeholders into the group. So this is something that we would kind of refine, and this is, yes, exactly what I'm looking for from the commissioners, is feedback on this. So
I
right
just want
now,
to make sure we don't get through this whole process and have people say, I didn't get the opportunity to
Yep.
provide feedback, so why am I going to buy into it?
yeah, so the planning team, you know, the purpose of the planning team, it's not set in stone either. This is kind of my preliminary, you know, evaluation. And when I went through this project recently with CMRP, what I found was we had a planning liaison team that represented each of the partner communities' staff. And we would dig through the content that was being prepared, the data, the survey work, and that group did a lot of work to help kind of shape this plan. With a comprehensive plan, you're right, those communities and those people that are represented by those different stakeholders need to make sure they feel they have a part of this project.
Okay.
So I'm more than open to expanding this. This was just my initial thought process, because you are right. I have one city representative, one township or two township representatives, environmental representative. And it's interesting, when I went back and read the comprehensive plans over the years and over the decades that we've done them, there's been some very large task force and groups. So it is something that has been done. I had read some notes on past comp plans, you know, don't make it too large because it gets a little bit unruly, maybe, I think is one concern.
All right, Commissioner Fobi.
Thank you, Chair. I think I have just similar thoughts and comments. When I see just one city representative, I mean, that city representative from Elk River is going to have a real different, perhaps, opinion than a Zimmerman, you know, and Zimmerman, Big Lake,
Clear Lake.
our next biggest cities. So just to think a bit of that through, I totally understand you not wanting to get it big, because big to me says cumbersome. And the timeline for me is like, I kind of want this yesterday, so when I looked at the timeline, I'm like, oh, it's not going to be complete for quite a while, which I understand. But engagement with our public is key in any way, and I appreciated the mechanisms and tools you used with the whatever that thing.
The MRP, yeah.
Thank you, CMRP.
I know the acronym's tough.
Yeah.
CMRP.
Yes, Commissioner Smeezing.
And as usual, I'm probably misunderstanding, but this planning team is going to be about the plan for doing what you're doing more than it is just the input, right? I mean, so this team is what's going to get around the table and say, hey, this is what we need to get out and what we need to work with, and then you bring everybody in, right? So, I mean, it's,
Yes, Commissioner Smeezing, I did want to make that distinction. So part of the CMRP, or sorry, part of the comp plan process is going to be identifying those stakeholders and bringing them to the table. So stakeholders will be our township representative, our city representatives, or whether it's staff, city council, they are going to be stakeholders, and we're going to be seeking feedback from them, and we're going to be pushing material out for them to review and provide feedback on. The planning team really is kind of who are the best people to do the heavy lifting. Who are the ones that are going to review that survey in advance of it going out to the key stakeholders? Who is going to be the one that reviews the, some of the draft content before it goes out to the key stakeholders? And then, the planning commissions, the city council, before it goes out to those broader groups. So I do envision this planning team as kind of a somewhat, knowledgeable and skilled group that is going to help shape the information that's being distributed to the broader public and to our key stakeholders.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, when I see east-west township, we also have north-south. So anyways, I think it's a good start and looking forward to, and I agree with Commissioner Phobie, it can be frustrating that they do take some time, and they usually take at least a year, if not then and some, to get the good result we're always looking for, so.
Well, that feedback from the commissioners gives me something to provide feedback to my, the prospective consultants that are viewing this. Hey, I have commissioners that want this done ASAP. Commissioner Phobie says, I wanted this done yesterday. So, let's find ways to try and speed this up, expedite this. And it wouldn't be something that staff is looking to, kind of prolong. Yes, I think that's a great indicator. Let's get this moving. It's just making sure that we get proper engagement from our stakeholders. And I think a lot of that can be accomplished through digital methods, more so than public forums that we've done in the past for this type of work.
Yeah, because we're trying to build a document that is going to carry us through for about the next 10 years until the next updates.
My hope is it's a 20-year plan,
Yep.
and then it would be visited in 5 years. So that first 5 years after our comprehensive plan is completed, we're cranking out a new zoning ordinance to meet kind of current demands on our region and what this comp plan highlights, and then our subdivision ordinance. And then 5 years, we'll come back and review it. Are we on track with this plan? I still stick with Commissioner Smeezing. We had a workshop once, and this was related to CMRP, and you said that the effort there, he didn't want to see that plan, sitting on the shelf collecting dust.
Right.
Okay, a plan is not meant to sit on a shelf and collect dust. It's meant to put actions into motion. And that's what I'd like to accomplish with this.
Yeah, it should be picked up daily to guide your, moving forward and guide your decisions. All right, any other discussion? Yes, Commissioner Smeezing.
we're anxious, let's get this thing rolling and
Yep.
get this RFP on the street. I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Commissioner Smeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt had her hand up first. So Commissioner Brandt, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. You got the thumbs up.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much,
Mark.
Commissioners.
Looking forward to it. All right, at this time, we're going to recess our regular meeting to open our Regional Rail Authority meeting as the room clears. Right, looking for approval for the Regional Rail Authority meeting agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie, seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Looking now to approve our Regional Rail Authority meeting minutes from September 7th, 2021.
Move approval. Madam
Motion
Chair.
made by Commissioner Smeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. All right, now we are ready to move on to consider the options for early repayment to the Anoka County Regional Rail Authority of the Sherburne County's share of Regional Rail Authority bonds.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioners.
morning, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Lorraine from the Auditor Treasurer's Office. I'm here on behalf of Diane, who is out this week. We are requesting that the board consider options for early repayment of the Anoka County Regional Rail Authority of Sherburne County share of those bonds. This has been kind of an ongoing thing. About a year ago, I believe Andrew went to approached Anoka County about refinancing the current bonding that we have. And at that time, they weren't quite ready to do that, but have since done so. On December 3rd, they did go out for refinance, and it was approved. As you have in your packet, we are actually looking at paying off our entire share. What Anoka County did when they refinanced was they were able to cut 5 years off the end of the bond and lower the interest rate considerably. So with the option 1, what we are looking at doing is paying off our portion, the 19.08%. And what that will do is a little bit different from the numbers you have because they did go out. It has, the bonds have been approved. They will close on January 6th. They were able to get them at a premium. So instead of $461,838.17, we're going to be saving closer to $475,000 over the course. So what we're looking for is the board's approval to pay off our portion early.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Smeezing.
Seems to make a lot of sense. It's probably a pretty easy decision. Do we, and we have the money available to do it. And the money that we do have that is available is earning a very modest return. Is that
Correct.
I mean, so really, it is a difference between this number and that number. And would you have any idea what they're doing if the money just sits there?
Well,
We don't.
obviously, we invest the money as best as we can, but when this bond was taken out in 2015, it was variable rate that we are paying on it, between 2% and 4%. Obviously, in this era, we are not making anywhere close to that on any of the investments that we can do.
And I think we should do this, I'm all for it.
Definitely.
But I think we just need to understand the margin is the difference between what we're getting for the money and what we're saving on the other end. So
Correct.
it probably isn't
Correct.
completely 475,000, but it is a
It's
significant.
very close to that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With that, I would make the motion.
Okay, motion made then by Commissioner Smeezing to recommend that Sherburne County pay off the Regional Rail Authority for early repayment of its share of Anoka County Regional Rail Authority issued bonds.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
County Attorney would like to jump in here real quick.
Okay, can we get a second and then, do I have a second? Okay, Commissioner Phobie seconds. Discussion.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to clarify with Commissioner, are you talking about under option 1, correct?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that the minutes were clear. Thank you kindly.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
I agree.
Yes, all right. Any further discussion? And I do agree with what Commissioner Smeezing said, when we're making next to 0.5 possibly on our investments.
On our daily money, yes.
Yes, we can pay this off and be money ahead is the way to go. So with that being said, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. Thank you very much for bringing that forward.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll adjourn our Regional Rail Authority meeting and reconvene our regular meeting agenda. And item under 7.1 is consider recommendation of the, oh, we just did that. Never mind.
Actually,
no,
you have to
actually-
do that at
We
the
have to
county
do it now
level
because we
also.
didn't do it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right, so consider recommendation of the Sherburne County Regional Rail Authority for the early retirement of its share of Anoka County.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 7.2, receive an update from the Health and Human Services Director. Amanda, welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to get in front of you to do a quick update in terms of what's happening in our department. First of all, just wanted to update you all on our Economic Assistance Division. I think last I was in front of you talking about economic assistance, it was with regards to ARPA and just the ballooning healthcare assistance applications and the need for an investment. And so that was one of the very earliest ARPA investments that you approved. And so last month, for the first time in several months, we did see a drop in our healthcare applications. Actually, that was for the first time in 20 months we saw a drop. We're kind of holding our breath to see if it continued. Every month when our numbers increased, we swore we were insuring everybody in Sherburne County, but that hadn't been the case. And so right now our staff is very busy prepping for open enrollment and then also reviewing the changes and making manual changes. So essentially what has done is federally nobody could be off healthcare assistance for the last 2 years due to the federal waivers. And so now that things are ramping up again, in addition to open enrollment, we're having to make manual changes. And so the calls that are coming in are changes for individuals over the last 2 years. So nothing in healthcare assistance is a quick and easy call, but now whether they had a baby, got married, got divorced, changed jobs 1, 2, 3 times, unemployment, we're having to capture all of that information and input that into the system. And so really the amount of work and the amount of phone calls has increased exponentially. Unfortunately, staff are at a place where we are no longer meeting timelines. This is very unfamiliar to us because we pride ourselves on having excellent customer service and always meeting timelines. And so really timelines are processing changes within 10 days. Right now, our public assistance programs are probably out to 20 days, and healthcare assistance is out 30 days. And so this has a ripple effect, as you can imagine. So folks that are on waiver programs that's need changes to occur, they bring those over to the healthcare program, and again, being over a month out and just knowing that more is coming with open enrollment. We're trying to watch very closely any costs that occur to the county because of that, because people are off healthcare. And so just wanted to let you know, because I also think you may or may not be getting phone calls because the county isn't responsive. And I just wanted to let you know that we are working at capacity. We have I have approved overtime, and we're just doing everything we can to. But we knew this was coming, and so I will just say, in 2020, we moved from 2 units to 3. We moved to this Zing tree technology, which is a decision-making tree. We moved from staff having individual cases to a case banking. We made some investments in our on-base system as well as our phone tree. And so we knew this was coming, so we are pretty well prepared. Still doesn't feel good to be outside of timelines, but this is a statewide problem. Sherburne County, when you look at statewide, is still one of the top performers, but it just doesn't feel great. Also in our economic assistance division is child support. And so child support is able to get federal performance dollars once they're over 80% collections. And so kind of big picture, state of Minnesota has to be above 80% collections in order to receive that from the federal government, and then counties need to be over 80% in order to kind of get their share. The more counties that are over 80%, the less our share becomes. But of course, we want the state to be over. So it's complicated. For the first time, the state is not over that 80%. They have dropped 5 percentage points, and Sherburne County went from an 80.5% collections to 76%. So we're watching that really closely, again, just with unemployment and folks being out of work, and trying really hard to collect on all child support payments that we're able to. But just wanted to let you know that we are watching these and crossing our fingers that we're not going to have financial repercussions due to these extenuating circumstances.
All right, Commissioner Smeezing, did you have?
Yeah, Madam Chair, do you see this as being a bulge in the hose, a rat going through the snake, or?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we don't build a church for Christmas and Easter. So we're going through a period of time now where our numbers are way up. How long do you expect that, how long's the snake?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're kind of quietly celebrating that this is our first month where our numbers haven't increased. But as I said, when I asked for the ARPA position, our numbers kept increasing, and we haven't even gotten to the manual. So I'm keeping a close eye on it. I'm hoping it's a year and a half, but I really couldn't tell you.
Time will tell.
Yeah. I do have.
If I
Yeah.
could just add to
Yep.
that. Make sure you keep us closely posted and we monitor this very closely because this will impact our citizens in Sherburne County.
Absolutely.
Be aware of.
Absolutely. I do have a few things on a happier note, however. And so we have excellent providers in Sherburne County, as I'm sure you're well aware. And so 2 of our providers were recognized regionally at MSSA, which is Minnesota Social Services Association. So for a excellence in child foster care, Wendy and Terry Bones won a regional award, and then adult foster care, Vicki and Dave Warren won an award. And so these now have been submitted to the statewide MSSA awards, and those will be announced in March. For our mental health action team, we've been meeting a lot of progress and positive work. And so that high utilizer multidisciplinary team, that is set to begin in January. That group is going to meet weekly. I think we're going to be totally overwhelmed with referrals, but at the same time, we're starting. And so we're really optimistic and excited for that to start. The jail social workers that you also approved with ARPA dollars, we have 1 out of 2 hired, and the second candidate we're doing reference checks on. Hopefully those 2 individuals will also be starting in January. We're excited to launch that initiative, and right now we're working on shadowing weekly just to learn jail processes, classification, how they handle mental health calls, etc. So that's exciting. And then also starting in January are pointers, so those case aid outreach positions that I've talked about a little bit. And it was so telling that yesterday our manager group and I were meeting, and we got an email at 3 o'clock yesterday. The superintendent in Becker, or assistant superintendent in Becker, had a case where a family's homeless. There's a 10-year-old girl who has failed 2 hearing tests, needed a referral to an ENT because it was severely impacting her learning in school, was not on health care, and said, what can you do? And all of us, I think, said, a pointer can help with that. So somebody to go out, kind of do some quick investigation, if you will, and then come back and get that person connected. So hopefully they're able to quickly get on healthcare assistance. The girl is able to get that medical referral and medical appointment, and hopefully we're able to also help find that person housing or get them connected. So I just want to let you know that we're pretty excited, and that's just one of many scenarios that we envision that these outreach folks will be handling. And then lastly, we do have a new social service manager replacing Jody Hirung, hired for the second time, but hopefully this one's actually going to come. But we're really excited. This gal, her name is Meg. She comes with many years experience, 20 years experience at Anoka County, Carver County, and most recently Hennepin County, with just a wealth of knowledge in child protection, child welfare, children's mental health, foster care, licensing, and so we're really excited to have her start. She's going to start December 20th, and I will bring her for a board introduction sometime in January.
Yep, looking forward to meeting her. That is awesome. All right. Well, thank you for the very informative update, and I know that you will keep us apprised of everything that was presented. And also, will we be able to meet the awardees at some point to be able to recognize them and thank them?
Yep, I believe at least I know the Warrens have been there, and I forget what month foster care month, recognition month is, but we normally have a presentation, and we will for sure bring them in if they're recognized at that statewide level. So.
All right, thank you, Amanda. All right, moving on to the consideration of the approval of the University of Minnesota's Extension 3-year staffing agreement. Dan?
Good morning, Commissioners. As Commissioner Danielewski mentioned, I'm here today seeking approval of the Minnesota Extension 3-year staffing agreement, and you do have two agreements in front of you, one that includes the ag educator position and one without, and I'm going to turn it over to Bruce for a little background.
So based on the conversation we had last week on the end of the Truth and Taxation hearing, Dan and I have spoken with Lori and discussed some of the board's questions regarding the ag extension, the ag educator position. What we have provided in the amended agreement is that that position would not be funded under this 3-year agreement. Lori is more than willing to work with us and make sure there's a very clean handoff so that if anybody calls or contacts Extension for assistance that the ag educator or the other positions would have requested, then we will take that in administration and we will do a handoff to the business incubator program or, if necessary, other programs that we have currently available. Lori and I will also kind of fine-tune some data collection for the next year. Respectfully, Lori has said she doesn't want to be forced to collect data that they don't have right now, but we'll try to maximize what she's collecting, and then we'll collect what we can so that next year the board can take a look at this. We all understand that since this is a 3-year agreement, if the board would want to add a educator position for 2023, we would, 1, have to request it, 2, see if the other partners are willing to entertain it, and then 3, modify the agreement. But all of that is doable. So our thinking is that we shouldn't have any cold calls being dropped. We can actually do a handoff and manage it with our existing resources and see what the need is out there. But there is a significant risk that we may not have this opportunity in the future, and I want the board to be aware of that. The reward, of course, is we have better information and we see if existing programs can indeed assist those who are looking for assistance. The second note I would just make is we also proposed to the University of Minnesota several changes to the agreement. They're predominantly in the area of performance measurement, but because this is a standard agreement that all 87 counties uses, they are looking at those. They do modify, case-sensitive things, and we don't anticipate that they are going to be deal makers or deal breakers, but of course, Tim Sine does a really good job of providing language, and we're waiting for the final approval. Actually, did you do this one, Kathy? I'm sorry.
But that's okay.
All right. All right. So because we don't have the final approval from the U of M, but because the sections that we're discussing are really, I would say, not necessarily as critical because the base agreement is still the base agreement, we would ask that if the board does want to approve tonight, and we would circle back to that, that it be approved substantially in the form presented, knowing that there may be a few changes from happies to glads that the attorney and I will have to work out. But if there's any substantive changes, if the U rejects something, we'll have to bring it back to you. The reason why we're asking for approval today is twofold. 1, that we can get the budget prepared for you for next week, and 2, Lori has asked that if the board can come to consensus, then she can take formal action with the other 3 counties because they will have to make a decision how they will proceed.
All right. Any questions for Bruce? I think that this does help to make sure that we are helping any of our small farms and such, and allow us to gather this information so we can make an informed decision next year. So I think that this has landed in that realm that we can continue to pursue. Any further discussion? If not, I'd be looking for then a motion to approve the, hold on 1 second, thank you.
I could read it with the modified language if that would be helpful.
Yes.
So it'd be consider approval, or the motion would be to approve the University of Minnesota Extension 3-year staffing agreement as amended to not include the ag educator position and substantially in the form as presented.
Okay, I'd be looking for that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Smeezing. Looking for a second? I'll make that second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Could I just make a comment?
Yes. Commissioner Colby.
We have,
Sorry, Brett.
that's all right. That actually
You look
compliment.
alike, right?
I just wanted to make the comment that For many years, and we all know that we have not had an egg educator. We do also know that people in rural Sherburne County, farmers and so forth, have made calls to the current egg educators in the other counties. And they have very nicely spoken on the phone to people. They cannot make visits, but they have helped people over the phone. So I just think it's important for us to realize that our neighbor counties have really helped rural people in our county with questions that they've had with no reimbursement, if I'm correct with that. And so when we're thinking about adding an ag educator for Sherburne County, and working with the team that they have now with 3 other counties, and to be part of that, we need to, I think, recognize that we have benefited from the fact that they have had ag educators available to our people for these many years, and we should recognize that we need to be very grateful for the support they've given to our people, and that was one of the reasons why I thought this was a time we should look at funding our own ag educator so that we could have that resource available to our people in a way that was not weighing heavily on the other staff that, technically don't have any real responsibility for us. So I just think people need to understand that that has been what we've been operating with for many years.
Yeah, thank you for
Madam
those
Chair.
comments, Commissioner Brandt.
And I
Yes,
think,
Commissioners, oh,
And I think this has been a difficult
yes.
the decision for all of us, and I guess out of this, I would hope that we work very hard to understand the calls and to help the people that do call us, and I think we should probably be keeping track of that maybe on a quarterly basis, let the board know how that's going and what's going on with it, because that's going to be critical. We don't want to sit in the same place next year trying to make this decision and saying, hey, we don't know, what the need is, so.
And I think the result of this agreement, gives us that year to collect that data. That's the whole idea, that data will be collected, so we know exactly when we are asked for that decision, that we are confident in the numbers and the support of the position. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And then Dan, you will keep us updated on this, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, moving on to the consideration of the American Rescue Plan Act update and recommended approvals and expenditures.
This week, we have 3 approvals of weekly or biweekly expenses at $20,794. I did invite our county attorney, Kathy Haney, to talk about a staffing update. There's been a few changes to her original request back in July, so we just want to update you where the office is at this point before we make a motion on the weekly expenses.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. When I first came to you, what I had asked is to restore our office assistant from part-time to full-time, which we did immediately, and I greatly appreciate it. She's been kept very busy with all of the calendars as well as the additional judicial calendars. We had asked for an administrative assistant to be hired. We did have a struggle getting a qualified candidate. Like Amanda, we had made an offer and somebody accepted it, and a week later they said they unaccepted it. But I'm happy to report that Laura just started with us, so it took us a number of months to get that position in place. We also went out for advertisement for a contract attorney with no results whatsoever. So what we ended up doing is I had asked for a contract attorney and then a permanent full-time attorney. And the reason why the contract attorney failed so miserably was in large measure because, number one, I'm competing against a number of county attorneys' offices who are also seeking staff, as well as the public defender's office, who also is seeking staff. So the pool is a little bit more limited than what we've seen in the past. So I flipped over and hired a permanent full-time position. You, at the last county board meeting, approved the oath for Jennifer Clements. So she's up and operational. I just met with her this morning. We're trying to get her a full caseload. The other thing that has changed since I initially brought my request to you is our case numbers. When I first came in, I told you that there was a 14% increase in felony caseload from 2019 to 2020, and a 7% coming into, at that point in time, 2021. That number has actually increased to 14%. Now, what is that equivalent of? If you look at our caseload, it means that we're seeing an additional approximately 85 to 90 cases a year. So I had an increase in that number for felonies in 2020, and I'm seeing that same number through November of this year. An attorney, a felony attorney, carries a caseload of about 90 cases. So that's equivalent to 2 attorneys that we've seen in increase in numbers. The other thing that's happened is we met with the bench. I have learned from the bench that the state edict is to clear 20% of the caseload, regardless of what the size of the caseload. So even if we've seen that 28% increase over 2 years, the St. Paul office doesn't care. What they care about is the percentage of cases that have been cleared. And we're not clearing enough, bluntly. And so we sat down and met with the judges, I believe it was last week, to talk about how we're going to do a better job of trying to clear that caseload. We are ranked 80th, which out of 87. So that means we're at the bottom in terms of percentage clearance. So we have a Herculean task in front of us. So what I've asked for is, instead of asking for a contract attorney, to put that position into a full-time attorney. Please note that when I did my initial ask too, I projected out to 2023. I didn't project out to 2024. So I wanted to give you an idea of what it is that we're facing upstairs. Part of the other thing that I've done is I've also basically starved the civil side by reassigning a portion of an attorney back to the criminal side to try and deal with the backlog, because clearly that's the only choice that I have at this point. So it's been an interesting time, shall we say. But I've got an awesome staff, and they're just breaking their backs trying to get through it all. So I just have to give them all kinds of kudos. And I hate to tell you this, but whatever lands in my office, there's a 4% slope downward to Jay's office, and it's going to his direction, so.
All right. Well, thank you for that update, and I think that what we're going to be seeing is, as we grow as a county, these things are part of that growth. And even though there is a backlog, there's obviously an indicator that there's an increase as well currently. So, Commissioner Foby.
Thank you, Chair. Is there anything more we can do to, or how can we better support you in the office?
Well, you have been wonderful. I mean, when people ask me and they struggle with their boards, I have to tell them that I don't have that same struggle. I have been truly blessed on that sense. You know, allowing me to take this position from a contract position to a full-time will make a huge difference. Hopefully I would be able to attract, and I'm not gonna, right now I don't have the staffing to train another attorney, so I literally have to wait till next year to do this. We've done increase in our diversion program to try and deal with the backlog. We have modified our standards. I'm not going to wholesale cases because that's not what we do, but we've modified our standards in how we're looking at settlement of cases. I'm looking at old cases that are outstanding to see, can we still prove them, trying to get rid of that. I mean, we've taken a significant number of steps already, but like I said, from my standpoint, you guys have been awesome, and I can't thank you enough, so I really do appreciate it.
Well, yes, Commissioner Smeezing?
Well, I mean, I think particularly at this time, more so probably than any other time that I've been around, I feel it's important that we support county attorney and support their ability to bring cases forward and to support law enforcement in what they do. And so at this point, if you liked me before, you'll like me even more now, because I do support us making sure that we're adequately supporting law enforcement and public safety in this county.
Yep.
And may I add one more thing, Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to brag a little too. Jennifer Pym from my office received the Professional Services Award from the County Attorney Association this last week, which is just a huge honor for her work on forfeiture and with the legislative process over the last 3 years. So it's kind of a neat thing to be able to bring that forward to y'all.
Well, please congratulate her on the board's behalf as well. And I agree with Commissioner Schmeezy's comments that we definitely, as a board, want to support whatever is needed to expedite cases and help your workload, and along with supporting law enforcement. So don't ever hesitate to come forward with a need.
Thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
So today's request is just for an additional $7,500 for that new staffing plan. I do have a note on the RBA that if we were to ask for 2024, we're obviously going to monitor the caseloads for now, but it would be additional for a little over 400,000. So we're not asking for that today. That was just more of an FYI that this could be coming if the case numbers keep at this level.
They'll be all caught up by then.
We hope so. We hope so.
Our thinking on it, just so the board is aware, is, hopefully we'll get the second tranche of money summer of next year. And so we'll have better case data for you, and we would see that if it continues, it would come out of that second wave of money. That's why it's noted for you, and we won't let it drop.
All right. Well, then at this time, then I'd be looking for the consideration of the American Rescue Plan Act, the update and recommended approvals and expenditures. Looking for that motion. Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
The second request is for the adult pretrial probation officer that Mr. Hanshu mentioned at our workshop 2 weeks ago. This one we are planning on building into the levy if necessary, if the case numbers stay up, but we could always revisit that over time as well. So this one would be a cost of $183,368 that would be built into the ARPA over the next 3 years.
All right. Looking for that motion.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda is to review and consider the proposed 22 board meeting schedule and set the January 2022 meeting dates and times. Bruce.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. So looking into next year for planning, there's a specific request today, and that is to set what is the statutorily required organizational meeting of the county board for Tuesday, January 4th, 2022 at 9 a.m. And then for notification purposes, set the second meeting on your normal calendar, which would be Tuesday, January 18th, 2022 at 9 a.m. The goal of the January 4th meeting will be not just your organizational items, but we'll have a regular business agenda as well. And then for board discussion beyond setting just January, we did note for you, if you followed your same calendar, which is the first and third Tuesdays of every month at 9 a.m., it works out quite well for next year with the exceptions of June, where because there are 5 Tuesdays in that month, we would recommend the second and the fourth, and July with one board meeting on the second Tuesday to adjust for the 4th of July holiday and NACO conference. And we have looked already into December, and I think we decided, was there a conflict with AMC?
Yes, we do have a conflict with AMC like we did this year. So what we proposed on the agenda is to have the meeting on a Thursday as we are right now. And then we would follow that meeting the next week with back-to-back, would be back on the Tuesday, because otherwise it falls too close to Christmas.
I was curious, do we really need to have more than one meeting in December, Commissioner Phobie? If you have a comment on that?
Similar. In being down at AMC, many of our other counties meet once in December. So I don't know if that is possible for us to consider, but with the AMC challenge,
Yeah, we can sure cancel that Thursday and just do that one meeting. It would be then the third
13th?
Tuesday, yeah. Or second Tuesday,
Or the
yeah.
20th?
I can scroll down here. It
Or
should-
yeah, whatever works, but,
We could do it on
Just the 13th?
The 13th?
Yeah.
And then that falls in the middle with anybody that would have any things that would require our attention. I think we'd hit that sweet spot, so to speak.
And of course, we'll, if we need a special meeting, we call it. This is just kind of your normal calendar, so.
So the June meeting, you want to move the third Tuesday back to the 28th? It's not that way on the, is that what you indicated?
Keisha?
You had said there's 5 Tuesdays in
Well, I
June,
think you
and
were
I'm only
talking about
seeing
May
4.
instead of June, because there's 5 Tuesdays in May.
So you must
Was
have
it
meant-
May that you were?
You had said June, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Keisha.
Well, I
on
wonder
the
if
calendar.
June is because we do try to only have one meeting in July, so.
Yeah, so
What I did is I just followed the first and the third
Okay.
for it. If you guys want to add, we could add,
No, I wasn't. I was responding. What did you say, Bruce? Did you say something about the fourth Tuesday?
Yeah, our note had that the first Tuesday and third Tuesday of every month with the exception, and your RBA said the exception being June. And I'm just looking whether or not we got that wrong for you.
I wonder if that was left over from a
Actually, I
previous
think
year.
you might have the wrong calendar up, Keisha. I think you had the January 21 calendar up.
Because when you refer to 5 Tuesdays, there are no 5 Tuesdays in June.
Right, and I'm just looking online here. June has 5 Tuesdays in 22, June 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. So that must be an old calendar.
Well, this is this a 2021 calendar?
I
then?
think it is. I'm looking online at the
note,
2020.
Okay, I think we set the first 2 meetings in January and we can talk about this calendar.
Correct, yeah, we'll get it right for
so
you.
a couple things.
Yep.
This is June 2022 has 4 Tuesdays, so something is off there. One other
Well, November is correct. I know that for a fact, because Friday is the 25th of November of 2022.
Well, I think Commissioner Sneezing, his point, let's set our January meeting. You guys can go back and figure out any of the calendar issues, and that can be brought forward in our January meeting.
this, on my cell, it looks like a 2022 is the same as what we've
Yeah.
got here.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the calendar is right.
There's some wonky parts now that I'm looking at each month, so I'm not sure what we have.
Yeah, if you
The
just want to
other
set January's,
I
yeah.
want to make, though, is February. I'm going to look at my calendar, February 2022, because of NACO, the 15th is problematic. I think a number of us will be gone. So I think we need to look at something different for that meeting.
Okay, we'll prep some options for you, and you can chew on it even at the
That
next meeting
would
quickly.
maybe be a Thursday, well, depending when we come back, so. That was the one that popped out at me, the
Yeah.
first.
Maybe the 22nd.
If we do the 22nd, we'd have a back-to-back meeting week
Yeah,
with
then we
March
have, yeah.
1st.
So that's something to explore then, with that thought in mind.
Maybe one meeting on the 8th is enough in February too, if you can
Well, and
accommodate that.
March has 5 Tuesdays, so there might be some flexibility there.
All right, so
So-
this was informational, so other than we
We'll know when to show up in January. I think that's a.
And just a note, I will not be here for the January 4th meeting, so.
And I think the confusion in June was that there are 5 Wednesdays, and on some calendars, they do Saturday, they start Sunday, Monday. I'm just seeing there's 2 different versions, if you Google it, so maybe that's where we had our confusion. But we'll clean it up, we'll just go with January if you want to make the motion just to approve the January meetings.
So looking for a motion then to approve our 2 January meetings for 2022 calendar, January 4th and January 18th.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Sneezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Bovee. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. All right, moving on then to our Conducting a preliminary review of our 2022 committee assignments. Everybody got the information in their packets to look at. I know that we had some discussion last year in regards to doing a rolling on some of them. And that is reflective on our information. Is there anybody that would be looking to maybe want to do any changing from what is presented? This is probably something, I know that there was some talk that being as we start in January, that making sure that some of the committees have someone that's ready to start the first of the year of 2022. Commissioner Kobe?
I would, I have a number of, I would recommend we maybe go through them. Just starting for me, the first ones with the AMC appointed committees. I have done my best for environment and natural resources and then general government, but would like to be considered for the HHS committee, and Mr. Brandt and I talked about that a bit yesterday, so not sure if, and I don't know that we need to finalize that today.
And I
But
think this is probably something that would we want to address in a workshop, if there's gonna be any changes. Oh, sorry. No, it's not. Apologize for that. Is this something that we want to address in a workshop?
Yeah, you can take it and mark it up, and,
Yeah.
and we can do a workshop at the next meeting, I think, or,
Yeah, let's,
you know, the objective of getting it to you early was exactly as you said, Chair Danielowski, it was so that if we had changes, that we knew who was going in early January. But either, you know, a light discussion now or just noting it and taking it, and we'll do a workshop then at the next board meeting.
Well, the next board meeting might be nice just because Tim would be here.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
All right, so let's move that item then to our next board workshop for that discussion. Okay. Moving on then to our commissioner correspondence and committee reports. Who wants to start?
You know, I can start. I think we really missed something at the beginning of this meeting during announcements. We should have announced the passing of former Commissioner Ewald Peterson. I think he was on this board for 12 years.
Yep.
Was a great member. I served with him. I thought the world of him. He was a great ally of mine. We traveled together and did a lot of things together, and I've missed him since he's been gone, and I know that he was quite sickly at the time for the last couple of months, but I think we just should memorialize his passing and recognize his contribution to the citizens of Sherburne County. So,
I agree, and thank you for those comments, Commissioner Smeezing. You are exactly right. He served the community and the county very well. And I know that we are sending something, his funeral, the wake is tonight from 5 to 7 at the Dare Funeral Home here in Elk River. And the funeral is tomorrow at St. Andrew's Catholic Church in Elk River at 11 o'clock, I think. Is that correct? Or is it?
I believe it's 12:30.
12:30, I'm sorry, I apologize. All right. Okay, thank you for those comments, Commissioner Smeezing.
Okay, we're going. You want me to do my?
If you're ready.
I think I can wing it here. Our last board meeting, we're going back to November 17th.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I'm in October. Sorry.
Actually, November 16th. So yes, anything after the board meeting on the 16th.
Well, AMC board, AMC this week and yesterday was Metropolitan Emergency Services and MCAT board meeting, and then MICA. We'll just go with that. AMC conference, yeah.
All right. Commissioner Phobie, are you ready?
Sure.
All right.
A number of meetings regarding our potential park acquisition and transportation project with 169 and 4. So met with Representative Kurt Doubt. The board chair and I went to DC along with our Andrew Witter and Gina Hugo. And then I really appreciate Zimmerman Mayor being with us and Zimmerman Administrator. We were able to meet with Senator Smith's staff, and we met directly with Senator Klobuchar and Congressman Emmer and the Department of Natural Resources staff, and really began those discussions definitely about the park and continued discussions about the 169-4 interchange. So I think that trip was very timely and was really good. And then yesterday also had a phone meeting with the House Indigenous Peoples Subcommittee of the Natural Resources staff, and that also went really well. So making some great progress and really getting the word out. And then I was also at the AMC conference, and I did whatever I could to talk to, there's a section where you meet with state leadership staff from the different departments, so I went to everyone that I could and talked up the park and that transportation project. So it was a great networking opportunity and got some other suggestions of people we might want to connect with. AMC annual conference, it was great to be together, always good content and just great networking. Truth in Taxation hearing. I was at a ribbon cutting for the Spirit River Yoga Studio up in Princeton, which is exciting. We had our MICA meeting, and that is it.
All right, thank you for that update.
Okay.
Commissioner Brandt.
Yeah, a SHAC Executive Committee meeting on the 19th. And I went to a meeting here in this office about Zimmerman Overpass because I couldn't go to the other meeting. And then there was a community partners meeting on the 1st of December, and Truth and Taxation in the evening of the 2nd, and also earlier that day, an IEIC meeting. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. On the November 18th, I had a county EDA meeting, and also, bear with me, I'm using my calendar instead of paper. We'll see how this works. Also had a CMRP placemaking subcommittee meeting on the 22nd, and had my options board meeting also that evening of the 22nd. And then did I need to write these things down next time. I'm trying to save paper. All right, and then also attended the AMC conference, and I agree with Commissioner Foby's comments. It was great to be back, and the content always is really, really good and always very timely and informative. So appreciated being able to see everybody. And also our trip out to Washington, I agree, was totally, I think, very fruitful, and we got a lot of really good feedback, and looking forward to making connections for funding to help support those projects. And I think that pretty much takes care of what I've been up to. All right. Okay. Anything else then? Other than that, if there's nothing else for this body, then we will be adjourning our regular meeting with a small recess and reconvening our workshop, and that will be, we'll reconvene that at 10:30.